phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
The 2019 recruiting class. It is still fresh in many people's minds, and it still seems like a pretty recent class to many college football fans out there. But when you really think about it, the entire 2019 recruiting class is entering their 4th year of college football, and even some of them are going to be rookies in the 2022 NFL season. In today's video, I am going to be talking about what happened to the top 10 players from the 2019 recruiting class according to the 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings. As usual, before I move on with the video, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The number 10 player in this class was offensive lineman Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright would end up going to Tennessee. In his career up to this point at Tennessee, he has played in a total of 34 games, starting in 29 of them. He's made 14 starts at right tackle, 2 at right guard, and 13 at left tackle, while seeing a total of 1,851 snaps. When talking about career accolades so far at Tennessee, he was a 2019 freshman All-SEC team member, and he's coming back to the Volunteers as a starter for the 2022 college football season. The number 9 player in this class, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings, was athlete out of modern day, Bru McCoy. Bru McCoy would originally end up going to Texas, but he would only last the spring there and he would transfer to USC. In 2019, as a true freshman at USC, Bru McCoy would end up redshirting as he would miss a good chunk of the season due to a symptom that he had that never really got diagnosed, or at least never really made it out to the public. So it's unknown why he missed a good chunk of the season. It could be because of illness, injury, or really anything else. He would first see his action as a Trojan in 2020 at USC as a redshirt freshman, in which he appeared in 6 games, had 21 receptions for 236 yards, averaging 11 yards per reception and 2 total touchdowns through the air. He was expected to make a big jump in his game for the 2021 campaign. However, in July of 2021, heading into the 21 college football season, Bru McCoy got arrested for domestic violence, which the charges did eventually get dropped, but the damage was done and he was suspended indefinitely from the football team and he never got reinstated. So he eventually entered the portal and he would find his way at Tennessee, where he's going to be a Volunteer in 2022. The number 8 player in this class was defensive tackle out of South Carolina, Zacch Pickens. When it came time to make a decision for a school, he would end up staying in state and attending South Carolina. When talking about Zacch Pickens at South Carolina thus far, he has been a great player and one that's very crucial to the Gamecock defense. He was an All-American as a freshman on the SEC level, and when talking about a national level, he was an honorable mention as a freshman All-American. And when talking about his career, it's been a good one. He's played in 35 games, starting in 20 of them, in which he's recorded 89 total tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 1 pass deflection, and 1 fumble recovery. He is coming off his biggest season yet, as in 2021 he played in 13 games, recorded 38 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. I would expect big things from Pickens in 2022. On to the number 7 player in this class. It was offensive lineman from IMG, Evan Neal. He would go on to play at Alabama. When talking about Evan Neal and his college football career at Alabama, it is a truly special one, as he had a really good time as a member of the Crimson Tide football team. He was an immediate impact player as a true freshman at Alabama, which isn't the easiest thing to do. He would end up starting in 13 games as a true freshman in 2019 for Alabama. He was a freshman All-American and earned All-SEC freshman team honors. And of course, knowing who Evan Neal is, he became a top offensive lineman in college football and would end up having a really good career at Alabama, in which he was a college football national champion, a consensus All-American, and a first-team All-SEC member. He would forgo his final eligibility of college football and declare his name for the 2022 NFL Draft, where he was seen as one of the best players, and he was taken with the 7th overall pick in the first round by the New York Giants. On to the number 6 player in the class. It is running back from IMG, Trey Sanders, and he would end up going to Alabama. Trey Sanders' college football career up to this point has been one that's had a lot of bumps in the road, as he missed his entire 2019 freshman season due to a foot injury in which he redshirted. He was back in 2020. Things seemed fine. He played in 4 games. He had 30 rushing attempts for 134 yards, averaging 4.5 yards per carry. But then he got in a car wreck and his 2020 campaign ended prematurely. It was a serious accident and he got severely injured. He would be back with Alabama in 2021, trying to regain some of his form that he had before both of those injuries. He was a backup running back. He would rush the ball 72 times, rushing for 314 yards, averaging roughly 4.5 yards per carry, and had a total of 2 touchdowns. He is back with the Crimson Tide for 2022. Next up, the number 5 player in the class was defensive lineman out of New Jersey, Antonio Alfano. He would end up going to Alabama. When talking about Alfano's college football career up to this point, it has been interesting to say the least, as he transferred from Alabama before he ever actually played a game, as it really stemmed originally from him missing classes and practices, and his father tweeted out that this could be because his grandmother was ill health at the time, and Alfano wasn't exactly taking it the best. He would eventually enter the transfer portal and transfer to Colorado, but that didn't exactly last the longest either, as Mel Tucker left and his position coach left. So what did Antonio Alfano do? He would end up leaving the team as well. When talking about him today, his last update of his college football career was that he was playing at Independence Community College. Next up at the number 4 spot in this class, it is wide receiver from Georgia, Jadon Haselwood, and he would end up going to Oklahoma. In 2019, as a true freshman at Oklahoma, Jadon Haselwood would get some early run as a receiver, as he would put up some solid numbers, recording 19 receptions for 272 yards and 1 touchdown. He was expected to break out in 2020, but he would end up tearing his ACL in the offseason and missing most of the 2020 campaign, redshirting, only playing in 3 games, recording 4 receptions for 65 yards. In 2021, he was back with the Sooners. This time, he was healthy, and he would end up playing in 12 games, recording 39 receptions for 399 yards and 6 total touchdowns through the air. After Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma, Haselwood would end up entering the transfer portal, and he's now going to be playing for Arkansas in 2022. Next up, the number 3 player in the class was cornerback from Louisiana, Derek Stingley, who would end up going to LSU. Stingley would go on to play a total of 3 years at LSU. His best season was as a true freshman in 2019, in which in 15 games played, he won the national title. He recorded 38 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 6 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, and 15 pass deflections. He was also a consensus All-American and a first-team All-SEC member. He would end up being in the first-team All-SEC in the shortened 2020 season, and when talking about his entire career at LSU, he would play in a total of 25 games, recording 73 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, 26 pass deflections, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 forced fumbles. He would declare his name for the 2022 NFL Draft, and he was taken with the 3rd overall selection by the Houston Texans. On to the number 2 player in this class. It is defensive end from California, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and he would end up going to Oregon. Kayvon would be an Oregon Duck for a total of 3 seasons, as he took off right as a true freshman and all the way till the very end, as he would end up playing in a total of 30 games in his 3 seasons there, where he recorded 126 tackles, 35.5 tackles for loss, 19 sacks, 7 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. It's really hard to pick and choose what season was his best year of his college football career, as all 3 of the years he was playing in college football, he was a top defensive player. And some of the accolades he had during his career as a Duck, he was a Morris Trophy Award winner in 2020, a unanimous All-American in 2021, 2-time first-team All-Pac-12 member in 2020 and 2021, and Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Year in 2019. He would forgo his final years of eligibility at Oregon and declare his name for the 2022 NFL Draft, where he was taken by the Giants with the 5th overall pick. On to the final player in today's video. It is the number 1 player in the 2019 recruiting class, Nolan Smith from IMG Academy. He he would end up going to Georgia. Nolan Smith has played at Georgia for a total of 3 seasons. His first 2 seasons there, he played a decent amount and he recorded some solid numbers. But in this previous 21 campaign of his, he broke out and even won a national title with the Bulldogs. In the 2021 campaign he recorded 53 total tackles, had 8 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 pass deflection, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 forced fumbles. In his career up to this point, he has 92 total tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 forced fumbles. He is back with the Bulldogs for 2022. Well guys, if you made it this far in the video, drop down any videos you want to see in the future on this channel, and before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Be Helly out.